Let's roll.
All right. So, good morning, and thank you for joining us today, teacher. Could you please introduce yourself, including your name, current position, and the field you specialize in?
Of course, hello everybody. Well, I am teacher Danny. My name is actually Cesar Daniel Duran. That's my full name. Everybody knows me as teacher Danny. I'm currently a teacher and also a translator and interpreter, a simultaneous interpreter. And I've been working here in Cetis Universidad for 6 years now. Yeah, it's been 6 years. I teach English and the college program, the teens program, and also the adults program in the morning and in the afternoon. And also, I help the coordination department as an assistant on Saturdays for the teens and kids program.
And can you briefly tell us about your career journey and what led you to the position you hold now?
Oh, my journey. Well, I started the bachelor's degree in translation. Since I was in my senior year at college, I was working with one of my teachers. Her name is Marisa. She's like the interpreter of Baja California because she's really good. I learned everything that I knew from her, that I know from her, sorry. And I started just working on that field. However, at some point, I just found myself unemployed. So I started working at Gameloft. Do you know Gameloft? It's a company that develops
Oh, yeah.
applications and games for tablets and devices and electronic devices, pretty much. And I was in the customer care area. I was completely out of my league because I've never been in an office, but I liked it because I learned how to correctly write an email. When I was there, I was given the opportunity to teach Italian in Universidad Vizcaya de las Americas for the very first time. And I decided to just take it. I was like, you know what? Because at that time, I was teaching, but only like one-on-one teaching, okay? Like private lessons. I didn't have like a school to go to. I did work in some language centers like Linguatec, but I didn't learn a lot from it. So I started working in Vizcaya as an Italian teacher, only for the first and second level. It was really good, but then I was offered more classes in English, in Italian. So I started developing a career more as a teacher. I never stopped working as an interpreter. I still do it, but that's like my freelance job. And then after being in Vizcaya, I met one of my friends. He's also my teacher. His name is Juan Garcia. If he sees this, hello, Juan. And he told me about the position. There was an open position to work in Cetis Universidad on Saturdays, and I just went for it. I it was really it was really interesting because one of my ex-classmates when I was in college was a coordinator at that point, and she was a recruiter. So she didn't have any I didn't have any sympathy votes. She was asking me questions one after one. She was measuring my level of English. So I like that. I like that I didn't have any sympathy votes. And then I just started working on Saturdays. It was only for one semester. After that, I was offered to also teach in the weekdays, especially in the college program and in the adults program. And now I'm a full worker in Cetis from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And that's how it all started.
Okay, that's interesting, teacher. But what inspired you to become an English teacher? And what do you enjoy most about this role?
Something that there are a lot of things that I like, sorry. One of them is the creativity because each class is an opportunity to be creative and an opportunity to show what elements you have. There's worksheets, of course, there's Google Forms and all these resources that we all use because they're very practical. But you have to find a way to be creative and to just put your own touch on it. And I like that. I like the practicity and the creativity that this job offers. I'm a social person, so I don't mind being surrounded by people. I fool myself with energy with people. And something that I like is that I get to work with different ages, from teenagers, they are 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, to college students, 19, 20, 21. I was that age when I learned English, so I definitely connect a lot with the college students. And the adults, I have to admit, they're my favorite ones because adults, they tend to learn a little bit slower. So I try to be patient and everything goes well because for an adult, it's definitely more challenging. So I don't know, I like the challenges and the creativity aspect of
And what are some challenges you have encountered in teaching, particularly in communication, and how have you addressed them?
Oh, when I needed to teach kids, because I don't have the training to teach kids. I do have the training for teenagers and adults, but I don't have the training for kids. So being as an assistant on Saturdays in the kids and teens program, whenever there's a teacher that is absent, just unexpectedly, I have to go and sub them. And when I had to do it with the little kids, 7, 8 years old, it's a total challenge for me because it's like I don't know how to deal with them. And surprisingly, I'm not that bad. I find myself like kind of good with kids because I mean I do understand like games, activities, dynamic. So when I was a kid, I am the first grandson in my family. So I was the first cousin. So and the next cousin is we are 6 years apart. So I was pretty much like 11, 12 years old, and all my cousins were 5 or 6 years old, and I was the one playing games with them. So I just remembered I tried to channel myself when I was a kid and putting games to my to my cousins, and that's pretty much what I did. So that's a challenge, but so far I have overcome that challenge successfully.
All right, teacher. And could you tell us about a memorable moment in your teaching career that highlights the importance of communication?
The importance of, yes, and this is there was beef. I have only had one conflict in my whole journey. I've been teaching for 16 years and only one conflict. That's good. But this guy, I still remember his name. I'm not gonna say his name, but he was a college student, and well, he failed because he had been more absent than present. So that was it. I mean, you failed. But it was only one midterm. It was not a whole level. And this guy just came to me very aggressively and he started yelling at me. It was during break time. So there were not a lot of people in the classroom. So I just was like, you know what? Somebody here needs to be the patient ones. And I was that person. And I was like, you know what? As soon as he started raising his voice, I told him, you know what? I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to take notes. I'm not going to interrupt you, but I need you to calm down and let's talk. Okay. We don't have to fight. I'm not angry. I can see that you are, but let's just talk. Let's keep it respectful. He did understand. And he was like, he definitely toned it down like 3 lines. So, and then everything was good. But at some point, he started raising his voice again. And now his own partners were like, hey, stop talking to the teacher like that. He's not being aggressive to you. You don't have to be like that offensive. So, yeah, I think that's a really good example because it was a good time for him to calm down. But when he started going back to the aggressive mode, even his classmates stopped him. So I think that was kind of good.
Okay. How has your approach to teaching and communication evolved over the years?
It has evolved a lot. Because at the beginning everything was like, let's be fun and let's just do the instructions and the next, like pretty much full of activities. But then you find out that the way that you transmit those instructions, the way that you transmit those points of view, you have to be very careful with the tone of voice. You have to be sometimes I tend to be very energetic, but sometimes that energy just doesn't align with the group. Maybe the vibe at that moment is not to be energetic. Maybe the moment is a little bit more relaxing. And it's not bad. It's about having different modes, different moods. So something that has evolved in that is the way that I use my words and the way that I approach situations in the groups. The way that I'm with a group, maybe it's not the same way that I am with another group. Because I can now differentiate when a group is being a little bit low key with the attitude because it's been a hard day. Let's be energetic. But when it's actually a relaxing mode, you can actually feel it. Let's just keep it, let's just keep it relaxed without leaving the dynamism aside. So I think that's how it has evolved.
And how important would you say communication skills are in your current role?
Oh, they are the most important skills. I've known a lot of teachers, and I'm not trying to discredit anyone, but I do believe that you do have to have vocation, and part of it is your social skills, and part of your social skills is the way that you communicate. I have I have met some teachers that literally said, "I hate people. I don't like people," and it's okay. I think it's valid. One of my best friends, he hates people. He's a psychologist, so that's why he became a psychologist to just um, to fix people, I guess. And it's good. It's part of it. You don't have to like people, but forcing yourself being in front of a group when you actually don't enjoy the company of other people, it's kind of harsh. Okay, it definitely takes a toll on your health and on your mental health as a teacher. So I think that communication skills not only are important, they are the most relevant part of our jobs. And of course, you need to have other social skills, but that is key because the way that you communicate is the way that you're going to connect to your students. If you don't connect to your students, that's it. You're going to be just a forgotten teacher that everybody was like, you know what? I just want this hour to finish. So definitely, they're very important part of the profession.
Okay, teacher. And what do you think are the top communication skills that every professional needs?
The most important communication skills would be intonation, the tone of your voice. Okay, it's not the same to say, um, "Give me a glass of water," than saying, "Hey, give me a glass of water, please." Even with the same words and just with "please" or only those things. I know that it sounds so basic, but sometimes those basic things we just forget them. So. Being diplomatic, I'm a Libra, so I'm naturally a diplomatic person. So I do believe that the way that we intonate, the way that the tone of our voice is key because sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say.
Okay, teacher. Um, Another question, how do you prioritize communication skills in your teams? And do you focus on any particular aspect of communication?
Um, well, in the technical part, pronunciation. I do believe that pronunciation is key when it comes to like the class, like teaching a language. You need to have a decent level of pronunciation, so you can transmit that language and those sounds and those phonetics. That's like with the technical part, but with a more personal approach, I do believe that um, something that is key would be your word choice, like the choice of words that you make. It's not the same to say please than not to say please. Just as I mentioned in the previous one, intonation is important, but also the choice of your words is. Sometimes we just say things that maybe are not very appropriate or not very politically correct. So we need to know in which environment we can say them and in which one we should just replace them with other ones.
Have you ever encountered a situation where poor communication caused a major issue, and how did you resolve it?
Yes, of course. And it happened to me last week. Oh, but it's actually something very tiny. Okay, we were having this event. It was a job fair, and I was talking to one of my coordinators, and he asked me, "Hey, this student hasn't sent this document because the selected students they needed to have some documents." So he told me, "Hey, he hasn't given me the documents," and I told him, "You know what? I already told him. I already asked him 3 times. Unfortunately, he's kind of a lazy student. Let's face it. So." And we didn't select the students that were going to represent the groups. They were selected internally by other members of, I don't know, of a committee, I guess. And I told him I do not rely a lot on this student particularly because he's kind of lazy normally. But I'm gonna ask him again. And he told me, you know what? Maybe it's the way that we mention things, like the activities. If the teacher is actually not very committed or is not very excited about the activity, maybe the students are not going to be. And I just stopped him right away and I said, well, that's not the case. I interrupted him and he was like, oh, sorry. But it was like, that's not the case because you're having your own conclusions and that's not the conclusion. Okay. I'm excited about this. I have done job fairs in my classroom before. I like this. So it's like, don't jump into conclusions without asking me first. So that would be one of them. And I'm saying it from my end and from this person's end, because this person was having their own conclusions without asking me first. And I also interrupted them by saying, hey, that's not the case. But it actually worked because after that, that person toned it down, everything was good. And actually we did a really good team because we had to work together. So that would be a good example there.
Okay, teacher. And in your experience, what's the biggest communication barrier in a professional setting?
In a professional, assertiveness, because a lot of people are going to tell you honesty, but let's be real. Sometimes you don't have to be honest. Like literally, there are some occasions in which we do not need your honesty. We just need your kindness sometimes. So, but honesty, sometimes we just misunderstand it by saying everything that we want to say. That's not honesty. That's cruelty. So assertiveness is being honest with the right moment, with the correct words. Okay, when you communicate something. If you need something, if you want to request something, if there's something that's bothering you, you have to communicate, but you have to be assertive, like the way that your point comes across really well. The other end definitely understands your point of view, but at the same time, without leaving you as a victim. Like you don't picture yourself as a victim. You say, hey, this is what I need. And you don't have to sound aggressive. So I know that assertiveness sometimes can be taken as something aggressive. No, that would be aggressiveness. We are talking about assertiveness. Be honest and clear about what you need and what you request.
That's a good question, teacher. Sorry, a good answer, teacher. The next question is like, how significant is public speaking in your work, and especially when addressing large teams?
Oh, it is really important. And I'm going to say volume is key. Okay, when you have someone that speaks like this, it's okay when you are in a very, in a closed place, in a small place, maybe if you have a mic. But if you have a large group, you have 30 students and you have to talk to them or even more, you definitely have to have a good resonance power in that throat because you are going to speak. So that would be one of those things. And also eye contact. Eye contact is so important for you to look at everybody. You have to definitely do this at all moments. So that would be one of the things that I would say.
And what challenges do you face when speaking to a large group, and how do you overcome them?
The fact that not everybody's going to be paying attention. I mean, you're going to have 40 people in front of you. It's going to be surreal to think that everybody's going to pay 100% attention the whole time. There's going to be like switch on and switch off. What you have to do is be prepared for that. When you know that you're going to be in front of a large group and you really need the message to come across, either if it's a grammar, a topic, even if it's a conference, even if it's a speech in a graduation, you need to have dynamics. You need to have an outline and structure. It's not about, I already know this. You cannot be arrogant. You have to be prepared. Even if you have good speaking skills, you have to be prepared for a large group. And that way you're gonna secure a little bit more that they are paying attention and that your message is coming across. So that's one of the things that I would say. Definitely be prepared.
Sorry for the interruption, but we have 1 minute left until the meeting ends. So I will have to end the meeting, and at some point I will resume the meeting again. Okay, teacher? Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. So I will call you. Okay.
Excellent. You're welcome.
Okay.
We are back. Teacher, Can you share a specific example of a presentation or a speech that went particularly well and why?
That went particularly well and why? That I have seen or that I have done. It could be anyone, anybody.
It can be anyone.
I'm gonna say when I was studying my master's degree, and I never finished it, but I was in my second semester, and we needed to present our projects. I was very nervous because my idea was not as strong as the person that was before me and the person that was after me. I was pretty much in the middle, and both of them they had like the strongest topics, and my topic was not that strong. But I was, you know what? I'm here. I know that I'm in a sandwich, so I'm gonna have to give it my all. That went really well. Everybody liked it. Even me, I have to be honest, I liked it because I saved it. Even though my topic, my idea was not the strongest, I still did it energetically and with my having in mind all of these things like intonation, pronunciation, all that. And they bought it, and I bought it too. So it was good.
Okay, how do you manage nervousness and or anxiety before public speaking?
Anxiety.
Anxiety, yeah, sorry. Anxiety before public speaking.
Okay, there are two ways that I use. One of them, fake it. If you are not confident, if at that moment you're not confident, fake it. They don't have to know that you're nervous. Fake it. Just fake it. One another, smile. Smile. Always. Even if it's a nervous smile. Okay. I never say I'm nervous. I never say that. Okay. I prefer to go with a joke or start something with something in which I don't have to do something. For example, if I'm nervous because it's the first day of class and I'm gonna meet my students for the first time, I always start with a dynamic activity. So they have to, so we can break the ice. Instead of me talking, it's like that. Everything just becomes a little bit warmer. So I would say definitely that.
And what advice would you give to someone who is new to public speaking?
I'm definitely gonna say fake it. Like when it comes to nervousness and to be confident. Like I know that if you like confidence, fake it. But another one is look at your anchor points. What is anchor points? Those points in which you can fix your stare for a few seconds. Like this person is listening to me, this person is listening to me, this also. If you don't like eye contact, look at the wall, okay? But don't look up, don't look down. Just look right in front of you. Even if you're not looking at somebody, look at the wall, okay? And maybe that's gonna help. And another one, whenever you have to present something, don't practice by studying it like this. Practice how you are gonna do it. Like stand up, present, like because at the end of the day, if this was dancing, you're not gonna practice the dance moves in your head. You're gonna actually do the moves. The same happens with public speaking. If you have a speech, practice how you are going to say it. Don't memorize it with a paper. Stand up and practice imagining that you have an audience in front of you. That would be an advice.
Okay, teacher. And how would you say that communication through writing differs from verbal communication in a professional setting?
Okay, you repeat that question? Sorry, because it got frozen a little bit.
Yeah, don't worry. How will you say that communication through writing differs from verbal communication in a professional setting?
In a professional setting, there's definitely team here. There's drama. When it comes to writing, that's why I prefer to send recording audios, because like that, the tone of your voice is gonna define the level of your mood. But when you are writing, even if you're doing professionally, some people might take it the wrong way. Okay, so to be assertive when you write, it's important, but it's a little bit more difficult because you have to know how to write. So so your readers do not feel offended or do not feel like it's an attack or like you want to fight. So the most crucial part is that you don't have intent. Well, you do have a tone when you write. You need to know also your tone when you're writing, the way that you introduce the phrases, the phraseology, the words that you're using, how you start and how you end. You have to use the sandwich technique, saying something positive, what you need, and another positive thing. Sorry, but manipulation techniques, I mean communication techniques, for you to actually be successful when you write something, because it's definitely more dangerous than just speaking.
Okay, and what are the most common mistakes people make when writing business emails?
The most common mistakes is not being diplomatic. I'm sorry, but you have to. I know that a lot of people like to be straightforward, and when you have been working with the same team and you already know the person, maybe it's not a problem. When you have a new position, or when you are talking, you are in constant contact with people you don't know, you really need to be diplomatic. If not, the workplace can turn into a war zone. You really need to be aware of the tone of your emails, of your WhatsApp messages. And if you have the chance, try to talk to the person directly so you can avoid misunderstandings.
And in your opinion, what makes an email stand out and get noticed?
An email that, okay, the format, okay, when you have an email that is all cramped, like this I learned from GameLab when I was in my customer care area. So when you have all the information cramped, that's definitely not suitable for an email. You need to separate, even if it's only percentages, you have to separate them. To whom it may correspond. Okay, I hope that this email finds you well, and then what you need. According to what we saw in the training session, I would like to request a presentation. So for further notice, blah blah. Okay, I rest on your contact. So everything that you are going to say, you have to separate it, because when you have an email that is structured correctly, it definitely stands out. It feels more professional than just have everything cramped.
All right, teacher. And let me ask you, how do you ensure that your writing communications are clear and easily understood?
By following what I learned in my customer service position, because I was there for 3 years. So definitely, it's not when you want to request something and you request it the right way, you don't even have to go into conflict or anything. You just get the answer. Of course, we're gonna send it. Okay. One of the things that I do is not only request what I need, but also offer something in exchange. Okay. Hello, I would like to know if you can provide me with a training session. So when you say the purpose, or when you give something in exchange, it's going to be more effective. And also, I would like to send you this format in case you need it for something. Or I would like to request the PowerPoint training sessions so I can study for over the weekend. And when you say the purpose, or when you just offer something in exchange, it's you have 90% more chances to actually get what you need, because you're not only demanding, you are going into a deal.
Okay, and what do you think is the role of feedback in business communication, particularly in writing?
In writing, it is definitely important to have feedback. Even when you have a leadership position, it is important for you to, if you don't care about how people write to you, I get it. There's people that are just like definitely more carefree. However, if you are a little bit more tight, because it can happen, especially if you have a leadership position and you want to keep the level of respect at a decent level, you should communicate and you should state what you need with examples. Okay, not only I need you to be more formal in your emails. No, give us an example. This is an example of how you can structure your email. So when you provide that information, it's just easier for the people to actually follow an outline than just trying to figure out what you want. So I think that giving examples would be one of the good things in there.
And as a leader, what step do you take to ensure effective communication within your team?
Definitely, when I was in Vizcaya, I was a coordinator for 3 years the language coordinator. I don't know if I'm sounding arrogant, sorry, but you told me to speak about myself. So, but I was there for 3 years, and I never asked or requested something in an aggressive mode or in a bad way. It's definitely the way that you speak. That's why I would always send them recordings. But if I had to send an email, I would make sure that email was complete, clear, and even with the highlighted things. And I'm gonna be honest. When I was like, you know what, starting from today, we're gonna have a little change. We need this to be respected, and I would empathize with them by saying, I know that this new rule might be a little bit tedious, a little bit obnoxious. I know it. However, it's gonna be part of the new procedure. It's gonna take time for us to just get used to it, but together we can get it on. I mean, I understand when there's something new and it's like kind of tedious, of course, but by acknowledging the fact that what you are requesting is uncomfortable, it makes it less uncomfortable. Okay, so it's all about having leadership skills, not bossy skills, because that's when you just lose your team.
All right, teacher. And what roles does transparency play in building trust within teams?
I think that it definitely makes the difference for people to respect you or not to respect you, or to just, oh, okay, he's crazy. When I was working as a coordinator, I would tell them, you know what, starting from now on, we need to sign, we need to check in and check out after each class. I know that it's like frustrating. However, this is something that we have been requested, not only me, but all the departments and all coordinations. So I would be transparent with that. Like, it's not about blaming on somebody else, but just how the information flowed. This is a new thing that is going to happen to everybody. Don't think that it's just me trying to be uptight to you or be strict. No, everybody's going to follow. We're trying to build a different culture here. So I would be definitely transparency. And also, we are human beings. I did mistakes. Like, you know what? Sorry, but I sent the payment sheet incorrectly. Okay, I need you to please just wait for me one more week, and you're gonna get your payment. I'm sorry, that was my mistake. And the teachers that were working with me, they would always be like, you know what? It's okay. Something that happened, because they knew that it was not a habit. It was literally just a mistake. And since I didn't lie to them, they definitely respected me, and also I respected them because the respect was mutual.
Okay, so how do you handle difficult conversations, specifically with underperforming teams members?
Oh, if we have to talk about it, if the communication started without me being the one taking the initiative, I just listen to that. I listen, and I'm gonna speak at the end. I'm a Libra, so I can take different points of view and balance everything. So it's like, I understand everybody's points, and I think this would be like the baseline in which we can align and balance. If I'm the one that needs to take the initiative, I try to do it in a very private mode. Okay, hey Abner, what's up? Now that we're in the office, I would like to tell you something. The other day, this situation happened, and it definitely made things a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit awkward. I don't know if you were having a bad moment, but it would be nice if we try to avoid those things. So when you do that with a correct tone of voice and without humiliating the person in front of everybody, because I hate that, definitely not. You have to do it like just to the person, being assertive, and also know, like, you know what, my objective is not to give you a hard time. My objective is actually to avoid these type of situations. Today was you, tomorrow it could be me. So let's just work it out. So that would be how I approach them, by being honest, but without being aggressive, and just talk to the person, not in front of everybody else.
Okay, teacher. And what communication skills do you look for in candidates during job interviews?
They have to be eloquent. At the end of the day, they need to know how to perform a speech. Because it's not about manipulating the conversation. but it's about how having resources of vocabulary, of phrases for you to actually know when to level up your register or level it down. What is register? The level of formality. When you have to be formal, when you can be a little bit more carefree. So finding somebody that can manage different types of registers with intonation and vocabulary, that is a key point that I look for in an interview.
And how do you assess a candidate ability to communicate in a team setting?
If we are in a team setting and I evaluate if a person is speaking, that they're speaking not for a lot of time with the message across. If that person can do leave the message across within only 1 minute, perfect. That's good because it's not short. 1 minute is a good time for you to actually develop your introduction, what your main point is, and your conclusion. So having that little structure, even when we speak, intro, your main point, and conclusion, is something that I definitely evaluate in somebody speaking.
Okay, so what advice would you give to someone preparing for a job interview?
I would tell them to be ready with the regular questions they're going to ask you. And when I say be ready, I don't mean like, I mean, like, of course, expect those questions like, what are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Why do you want to work in here? Tell me about your job experience. But also, don't think that you have to lie or that you have to be extremely perfect for the interview. Just be yourself. And as long as your resume aligns with what you're saying, and if you do it with enthusiasm, it's going to be good. Never talk bad about your previous experiences, job experiences. We'll learn from everything. So if you had a difficult past job, just don't mention that. Just mention how you learned from that. And because at the end of the day, we decided to work in those places and we decided also to leave when the environment is not the best for us. So I would definitely say be honest, be yourselves, and don't be afraid of it. Enjoy it. It's a role play. It's an interview. They want to get to know you. Let them know you, okay? Because they're, even if you're not the most qualified person, if you connect to your recruiter, you have it because they're gonna know I can work with this person, I can teach them, and I can train them. That's what you need to do in a job interview.
Okay, teacher. And finally, what makes a great communicator in a job interview?
What makes a great communicator in a job interview? Knowing that it's a conversation, okay? Being aware that it's not them with a flashlight on top of you and, hey, tell me this. No, it's not an interrogatory. It's a conversation. So if you have it as a conversation, when they say, do you want a glass of water? Say yes, because it's a conversation. If they say, do you want some soda? Do you want a cup of tea? Do you want a coffee? Say yes. Say yes, because that's going to give the environment of a conversation. If you are aware of the interview, that if you transform it into a conversation, that's when you have connection. That's what makes a good communicator even greater.
And that was the last question. Thank you so much, teacher Danny, for sharing your expertise with us today. We really appreciate your insights on business communication. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. It was amazing. I liked it. I had fun.
Thank you, teacher. Thanks for your time.
It's okay.
Thank you, teacher. Okay, in conclusion, what I learned from Professor Danny's journey is the importance of being adaptable and open to new challenges. He didn't let a lack of formal training stop him from stepping into the role of a teacher, especially when working with children. Instead, he used creativity and his own life experience to guide him. This really makes me think about how I can approach unfamiliar situations in my life. Sometimes it's not about knowing everything beforehand, but about being willing to learn and try. I also admire how he handled difficult situations, like when he de-escalated conflicts with his students. Staying calm under pressure and choosing respectful communication shows a level of patience and understanding that I want to develop. It reminds me that challenges can often be opportunities to grow, especially when we approach them truly. Professor Danny's ability to combine calmness with creativity is inspiring, and it shows me how these traits can make a real difference in how we connect with others and solve problems.
In conclusion, what I took away from Professor Danny's story is how much communication matters in everything we do, especially when it comes to connecting with others. The way he emphasizes tone, intonations, and word choice stood out to me. It's not just about what we say, but how we say it, and that can make all the difference and how people understand and engage with us. I want to start being more mindful of how I express myself because I realize it can impact my relationship and how I come across to others. I also admire his ability to adapt to such a wide range of students from kids to adults. No matter how he was teaching, he found a way to tailor his methods to fit their needs. At that level of flexibility shows me how important it is to meet people where they are and adjust my approach to make a connection. And also for me, his journey is a reminder that learning is not just about knowledge. It's about understanding people and finding out a way, finding a creative way to inspire them.
Okay. Professor Danny's stories really made me think about the power of creativity and empathy in everything we do, especially in teaching and communication. One thing that stood out to me was how he approached teaching children even without formal training. Instead of seeing it as limitation, he used his creativity and his life experience to come up with solutions. This showed me that even when we don't have all the answers, we can still find ways to succeed if we are willing to think outside the box and trust ourselves. I was also impressed by how calm and patient he remained in difficult situations, like resolving conflicts with students. That kind of calmness paired with respectful communication is something I want to work on. It's easy to get frustrated when things don't go as planned, but his history show me that staying patient and focused can lead to better outcomes. And what really inspired me most thought is how much he cared about making learning meaningful and engaging for his students. It reminds me to bring that some energy and empathy to whatever I do, so I can leave a positive impact of the people around me. And for me, his journey is a reminder that learning is not just about knowledge, it's about understanding people and finding creative ways to inspire them.